Assalamu alaikum. Today we're going to be talking about how to set up the prayer times. To begin, we're going to log into the control panel window. We're going to need to open this, and now we have the full control panel loaded up. To begin with, what we want to do is set up how to configure the prayer times. For this, we have to click on settings, click on the prayer settings drop down, and then hit prayer time configurations. This will show you the latitude, longitude, the calculation method, and then the juristic method as well. And every other setting around here is on. You can select the prayer notification time when you want that notification to come. So this is going to configure what times the adhan will be set in the prayer times. So from here, once this is selected, we're going to come into the prayer center and go into prayer times, and then we're going to go into daily times. So as you can see right here, these are by month. All the prayer times have been loaded up here. For example, if I want to go into 2024, since 2023 was pretty much full, we want to make a new time. We can select for January 24, for example, and we can hit generate. Now, according to the calculations that we set before, all of the prayer times are going to be loaded here along with the sunrise times. One thing to note is that there's a +1 and -1 button right here. If we want to just stay on the safe side, add a minute or something like that, we can select that right here, as can be seen, and it'll increase every single prayer time by a minute. If you want to manually change any of the prayer times, you can do that as well. Now, to populate the iqamah times, we just come into the right here and click on populate iqamah times. As you can see, there's a spot for each of the prayer times to enter the exact time in which the prayer will happen. For example, if Fajr is at 6 o'clock, we're just going to enter that here and then click off of that. The Fajr time will be saved. There's a start date and an end date for when we want to select. For example, right now it's set from January 1st to the 31st, which will be the whole month. If, for example, we want to only do it for a select number of days, we can do that as well. If I want to do from the 1st to like the 10th, for example, I can select that. But for now, we're going to select the whole month. We're going to just go through and populate for some example times. For Zohar, for example, if that will be at 2, Asr maybe is at 4 o'clock. We can do that as well. And then for Maghrib, a lot of masajid, what they do is instead of having a set time, they'll pray like a certain number of minutes after the adhan has been called. So if I want to do +5 minutes, +10 minutes, whatever I want, I can have that set up. So for example, if I just want to do adhan +5 minutes, that will automatically use the calculation and set that up. Now, for example, Isha as well, I want to set it up maybe for 8 o'clock p.m. That I can do, and now the whole month, after I click on submit, it should be populated. So all the data for the iqamah times has been loaded. Notice the Maghrib adhan is 5 minutes. The Maghrib iqamah, is 5 minutes after the adhan. So that has been loaded up. Now if I want to go back and edit, like I was talking about, maybe from certain day onwards, a prayer time changes. So for example, from the middle of the month, from the 15th onwards to the end, Asr changes from 4 o'clock to 4:15. I can select that right here, and all I have to do is change the Asr time. Notice that none of the other ones need to be added since they have already been saved in the data. So I can just adjust that, and now as you can see, Asr iqamah has been at 4 o'clock until the 15th, and then from the 16th onward it has been changed. From the 15th onward it has been changed to 4:15. So I can go and edit it as I like. So now once this has been completed, I can just click on save, and it'll give me a prayer times added check mark right here. So it's all been loaded up. Now for example, if I want to do this through an Excel sheet, I can do that as well. If I want to upload this to an Excel sheet, I just come on this top corner right here, click on these 3 blue dots and hit export prayer times. It'll export this data into an Excel sheet for you. This is an example Excel sheet that's been loaded up, and all the adhan timings, iqamah times, as well as the dates have been loaded up in a format like can be seen. If I want to export this somewhere, use it for something else, or export it then edit it then put it back in, I can do that to my liking. To put the prayer times in through an Excel sheet, I just have to come back into the prayer times and then go again into the daily times, and right here in the middle in this blue dots I can select import template, and that's going to allow me to import an Excel file. If I don't already have the template loaded up, I can just click on download template. It'll give me an empty template which is formatted correctly, and I can have all of my prayer times added into that and then upload that template again, and that'll allow me to add those prayer times. Now that we've talked about the prayer times, let's continue on to Jummah timings. So the Friday time is also right here in prayer center, right underneath the daily times. It's right located right here, Friday timings. So I have already loaded up 4 Jummahs I was doing for an example. So what I can do is see how all the Jummahs have been loaded up depending on how many Jamaats for Jummah is there at the masjid. I can set these up, and since Jummah doesn't change very often, maybe once or twice a year only, I just select an effective date, and onwards from then it'll just be always at that same time. If I want to populate a new one, for example, just go on the top right and hit this plus new blue button. I can enter a title. I can just write Jummah number whichever one I want. For example, if I want the first one, and I select on this effective day whichever year I want. For example, it's just set as so I can select that. Khutbah timing, for example, if I have set at 1 o'clock p.m., I can just set that up and it will upload, and the Iqamah time usually happens later. I can add that in however I want to my desire. So now you can also add a khatib option right here, right in this drop down. I have already uploaded 2 example khatibs. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But say for example Dr. Khan is giving this khutbah, I can just save it. Now as can be seen, this Jummah number 1 just got added, and most of the time Jummah will stay the same. You don't need to come and update the timing every week. But if I want, I can come through right here and hit on edit and change the khatib, for example, if it's going to be a different khatib the next week. So that is something super simple to do. I was just talking about the khatib, so I can come into prayer center right here, again in the top right, drop down all the way into khatib section right here, and as can be seen, I've already added 2 khatibs. I can create and add khatibs as I like. For example, if I have another khatib, I can just add their name, I can add bio, and I can also add their profile photo, so that will be updated. I can add however I want and hit that save. So now as can be seen, we have 3 khatibs that have been added into the settings. If I go back in through the prayer settings, go into prayer times, again drop into the Friday times. If I want to edit the khatib of any Jummah, as can be seen in this drop down under khatib, I can just click on Dr. Muhammad since I just added his name. So this is, for example, all set up right here. This is the khutbah section. One last thing to talk about is adding prayer notes. So if I come back into prayer center, there's a setting for prayer notes. A lot of masajid that are smaller may have Jummah or certain prayers located at a different location, so that can be added in the notes. Maybe Isha will take place at this person's house or something like that. Because of the size of the masjid, some masajid are not as large, so locationing becomes a problem. So that can be added right here. For example, if I also have like a lecture or something I want to identify after a certain salat, I can note that down right here, for example. So if I just want to add a new prayer note, for example, I can select the effective date when I want it and then add the note in for whichever salat I want. For example, maybe we have a workshop after Dhuhr. I can add that data right here and hit save, and that will allow me to have that information. So this is how to set up the prayer timings. This is the prayer notes, and as can be seen, it's a pretty easy and simple system to use. So this is everything. Assalamu alaikum.